Hi, it's Eric here. I was talking to other people. In this video, I want to talk about openness to wait, openness to difference, and openness to change, which are different things, obviously. So, what do I mean openness to wait? Well, first I mean W-E-I-G-H-T. I don't mean W-A-I-T or something else. And it means specifically that, and I'm not talking about people, individuals, I'm saying that moments of your conscious existence are subject to description along those lines. In certain moments you're more open to waiting, and in certain moments you're more open to or weighing. But what I really mean is waiting, because weighing means determining how much something weighs. Weighting means impacting with weight. Certain moments you're open to difference, certain moments you're close to difference, certain moments you are going to be open or closed to change as well. So, why does it matter and what does it mean? Or vice versa. First, what does it mean to say that you're open to weighting of things? Well, I mean, you might weight something in a lot of different possible ways. If you're a straight up rationalist and you really try to be strict in maintaining yourself as an individual who's free of contradictions, then you're going to be weighting things along those lines. In other words, as data comes in, you'll be utilizing it on that playing field and scoring points on that playing field of noting contradictions, dismissing certain things, dispatching certain ideas because they are unsustainable within the larger conditionality webs, etc. Now, if you're on that field, then the good news is it's mostly resolvable, right? Most of the stuff that you want to do on the field of rationality is, in fact, rationally resolvable. It's not a lost. You're not lost. There's plenty of affirmation eventually to be made in the land of reason. And I think that's the number one fear, number one risk is you run out of meaning to be made. It all collapses into a bunch of mush because it gets so fragile and so esoteric and so ephemeral. The links, the threads between the logic chains, that's what I mean becomes ephemeral. What's an example so you can feel it tangibly? Well, when we start talking about philosophy, and you get deep in these philosophy books, it becomes exceedingly difficult to remember why we're talking about what we're talking about and what it is we're talking about is necessarily a function of why we're talking about it. So it's almost as though the more formal work you do with philosophy, the further away you get from its purposed effect. I don't like to understand philosophy through existing paradigm names. Existentialism, bliggity blaggity bliggity blee, whatever. I just don't like to understand the metaphysical architecture of the universe through those existing names, delineations. It's not because I think they're bad delineations, it's that I don't know them very well. I haven't read shit, right? So, what I've read is like Wikipedia entries on something, I haven't actually read the source text in general. So for me, I'm naturally going to default, because obviously people tend to be biased to thinking not only are they better at the stuff that they're better at, but that the stuff that they're better at is more important than the stuff that other people are better at, right? So naturally, I'm going to think whatever I'm good at is the most important kind of shit, and whatever I'm bad at doesn't really matter at all. Regardless. What was this video about? Completely lost it. I'll come back to me in a second. Fuck. I can't remember at all. Oh, right. Waiting, a difference, and change. Okay, so in any given moment, you can shift your frames of reference to experience it differently in simple ways that everybody agrees you can do. For example, I was at Denny's, and there was a homeless gentleman, or a person of uncertain status, let's call them, and he was talking, like giving a little speech to no particular audience, and I was listening to him as I was standing by the car with my cup of coffee and smoking a cigarette. I was listening to him, but I couldn't really quite make out everything he was saying, but it sounded interesting. He was saying something about the way society is now, basically, like me. Said something about videos that made me interested too. So I went over and stood to smoke my cigarette closer, not like right next to him or anything, but closer that I could hear him better. I didn't want to bother him, but I wanted to hear him. So it had an interesting impact on my mood, or an interesting impact on my frame of reference. So because I'm standing over by the car and I can't clearly hear him, and he's not apparently making a concerted effort to cause me to hear him, I'm straining to hear him. And I go into a certain kind of very mindful, slowed down listening mode, where instead of being impatient, I'm wishing I could slow things down so I could get a handle on the situation, figure out what he's really talking about. Am I missing something over here with this homeless guy? What's he talking about exactly? And I stay there listening and smoking a cigarette. I don't go right away to go closer to him. My mood shifts, and I start thinking about what might he mean? What might it mean to him to be expressing this meaning? How does it fit in with his identity? How does he experience identity? Is there a mental illness of some sort? If so, on what fracture lines does that break? And why? So think about those sort of things. And then when I walked over to be closer so I could hear him, when I was within hearing distance, he sort of glanced at me and then went away. So I couldn't get to hear him. And that was for me an experience of choosing weight over some other frame of impact. So I was feeling the significance of the subjective pseudo-mystical experience that I was having right there, where I'm engaging in some sort of magical thinking that there's a message there, especially when we start talking about videos or videoing. I said, okay, well, I gotta hear this guy's fucking saying now. I didn't actively think to myself, God wants me to hear this guy. I'm sort of in a autopilot-y kind of way of dealing with that. I just sort of shift into that mode and go, what's going on over there? I don't even have to say the words to myself or anything. I just, what's going on over there? I'm open. That's what happens. I'm open. And I go, okay, I'm ready for some message. And then message ends up being the exact opposite of what I think it's going to be, which is, no, not only do I not get good new information to fill in these holes, I cease the existing flow. I stop the existing flow of information. So, and I get, the information I get is instead, this guy walking away from me, he doesn't want an audience. Interesting. And of course, that's plenty of message in and of itself for whatever purpose it is to be taken. So, the weird thing is, of course, I don't know what he said, what he was talking about exactly, except for catching a few words. I can't piece it together. Even though I'll likely see the guy again, I may have a chance to hear him again. I'll never actually know what he was saying tonight. And here I am talking about it. A simple moment that becomes something akin to a fractal universe through the process of metacognition. Another individual entity in the world impacting me and therefore impacting my expression and eventually proceeding outwards accordingly to the extent that it does. So this is how meaning is made, transferred, experienced, refined in the world, is people have experienced it. They try to render them in some fashion into shared communicable, symbolic things that resonate in similar ways with another person. So you can go, yes, same. We're not alone. And then individuals who are looking for meaning in whatever format, be it entertainment, be it emotional connection, be it intellectual abstract analysis, be it personal, self-esteem stuff, be it whatever. But those individuals seek out the time objects, the videos, the other kind of meaning that other individuals make, utilize it to the extent that it's useful, get or don't get something out of it to the extent that there's something, the extent that there's fruit's low hanging is a good thing. Don't make people work hard to find the meaning in your video. Something I got to work on in general. I'm trying to be less enigmatic, try to be more to the point. Try to have a more of a concrete point. And present it in ways that are palatable to people. And then you're more likely to resonate with them in some fashion or another. When you generate experiences in the world, and then you generate symbolic representations of those experiences, or you might call clones of the experiences, so that others can at least access your clumsy attempt at rendering that experience for their mutual understanding. Like I just had an understanding experience. Well, good for you. I can't understand it because it's in your head. Well, here's this thing that's like designed to be a file converter to convert my understanding into your understanding's operating system. And that's sort of, I think, the gist of it. It's how it goes. It's like waiting feeling the weight of seeking wisdom from this guy, feeling the weight of being denied it, feeling the weight of sharing the meaning to be taken from that fact, and attempting to experience the significance of the weight on some sort of post-rational level. Thanks for watching Douglas Enfield.